Hi, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, November 4th, 2011. Well, on Monday, the Greek Prime Minister thought it would be a really good idea for the people of his country, all of them, to vote on this €130 bailout plan. You know, the plan that would make his countrymen debt slaves for a generation or two. On Thursday, he decided that wasn't a very good idea. Consequently, he was at the G20 meeting. And do you think people put a little bit of pressure on him to kibosh that idea? Of course, that would be disastrous for the bankers in Europe and in the United States. There is exposure, yes, here in the U.S. to sovereign debt in Europe, without question. You know, I actually watched the financial wonks on financial TV actually get giddy about the fact they weren't going to have a referendum. Wow. They were giddy about the fact that democracy was stifled. You know, so they can all keep making money and we can avoid this meltdown, and the bankers can pawn off their mistakes and their, what I believe is criminal activity by some, onto taxpayers in Europe and in here in the United States. This is unbelievable. They're going to have a referendum one way or another in Greece. Either it'll be nice and neat and a nice vote, or it'll be more intense and riotous protests in the streets. But one way or the other, the Greek people will weigh in on this. Next up, MF Global, a primary dealer in U.S. Treasuries, poof, bankrupt. Hoofs up, 40-1 leverage. What? A primary dealer in U.S. Treasuries? Let's see, they were under the regulatory control of the Federal Reserve. Where were they? Where were the other regulators, the SEC, the CFTC? Where were those people? What happened? The line is basically that nobody saw this coming. Really? Nobody saw it coming. Now, my question is, how many other primary dealers are leveraged to the hilt? Let's see, a couple that come to mind. JP Morgan Chase, they have $79 trillion in over-the-counter derivatives, and some of that, of course, is European debt. That's what MF Global was making a smarty-pants play on. And also Bank of America, $75 trillion combined with Merrill Lynch of over-the-counter derivative exposure. Now, the guys in the banks, the bankers will tell you, because of bilateral netting and because we have hedging, you know, long positions and short positions and insurance and credit default swaps, well, the actual exposure is pretty small. Really? We see how well that just worked with MF Global. And we also have a track record of how it worked with, well, let's see, companies like AIG and Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers that almost took the entire world down. Yeah, I would say the other primary dealers are leveraged pretty heavy too, and at least four of the biggest banks in the country have $235 trillion in over-the-counter derivatives and nearly 50-1 leverage. When will that blow up? Time will tell. But with this MF Global thing, the clock got speeded up in terms of some sort of global crash or global meltdown. Israel, secret surprise attack on Iran. Not so secret anymore. It was leaked out by former intelligence officials, according to a Bahraini newspaper, or I should say a Kuwaiti newspaper. It was leaked out that Israel was going to attack. Now, you know, the problem with this whole thing is that the Ahmadinejad, one of the leaders of Iran, has said many times he wants to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. You can see why Israel might be a little touchy about Iran and the Iranians coming up with nuclear facilities and nuclear weapons. Listen, the Israelis just test-fired what's called a Jericho missile that can take a tactical nuclear payload all the way to Iran. They don't have to fly bombers, they don't have to fly jets, they don't have to fly over anybody's country. They can fire missiles and probably hit what they're shooting at, but all this has been revealed, and now Benjamin Netanyahu, leader of Israel, wants to have an investigation, see what's going on. Will the Israelis still attack? I don't know. But if they do, a couple of things come to mind. Straits of Hormuz on the southern border of Iran would be immediately shut down, and you don't need a lot of high-tech equipment to shut it down. You know, a guy with a speedboat and another guy with a rocket-propelled grenade, firing at, ships full of oil. Don't think a lot of ships would be going that way. And, 30 or 40% of the world's oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz every year. If this gets shut down, you could see oil prices, double, triple, quadruple in a very short amount of time. I think the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain could also come under attack. And if they sink a U.S. naval ship, that is an act of war. And pretty soon, you got the whole world in a knockdown, drag-out fight. Will this happen? I don't know, but it is a legitimate story, and the Israelis were planning an attack. Only time will tell if they still intend to go through with it. Herman Cain, I gotta bring this up. The mainstream media has decided to latch on to this story about his alleged sexual harassment. I'm not defending Herman Cain, but I am going to give the mainstream media a big black eye over this. I mean, endless amount of time and resources are spent on whether or not he had some sexual harassment case, and 1, 2, 3 women coming forward and one getting paid $45,000 and, well, whatever. You know what I want to know? I want to know who can fix the country. We got $15 trillion in debt now, and we have 15% of the population, a new record, on food stamps. I don't think it's Cain with his 999 plan. I don't think it's Perry with his 20% tax plan. I don't think it's Romney with his 59-point plan. Nobody's talking about insolvent banks here in the U.S., big ones, that are being propped up by phony accounting. They changed the accounting rules in 2009. FASB, Google it. Also, the endless bailouts that are going on now and will go on in the future. The Fed already printed more than $16 trillion to bail out the world, and if we get in a tight spot, Ben Bernanke just said, yeah, I'll print some more. What do you think that'll do to the value of your dollars? It's not going to be good, folks. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USAWatchdog.com.